Okay, so I just wanted to also add in a couple more channels that you can always check out. But again, if you haven't seen the movie, I don't advise you to go watch these channels, right? You got Aaron Wilson, who he does a honest review of Batman v Superman, and in his opinion, he had a pretty decent understanding of the film. He didn't absolutely love the film, but he also thought that the critics were pretty hard on the film. And I want you to look at his channel and his review. And here's another channel, Jen and Jess, and they're pretty new on the scene, but they have some very interesting discussions on Batman v Superman. Again, it's a spoiler review. That's why I said to you guys, it's really hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it. Really, to get the essence of this movie and to even discuss certain developments, plots, and so on of this movie, you have to actually have watched it. So, once again, if you haven't seen this movie, go see this movie. The weekend is here, go see it, right? And some of you, I know you're going to see it more than once, and you're going to kick yourself in the face and say, why didn't I go see this movie? You know? And that's what happens when the critics sometimes do a critical review of a movie and the movie is the opposite of what they think it is. Because sometimes, you remember, critics judge a movie on certain criteria that they were trained to judge movies on. And sometimes some movies come up that literally fly in the face of all those criterias, how they classically know it to be. And in this case, Zack Snyder, he really made this movie for comic book fans first. The first set of people he was thinking about were comic book fans. So this is like a graphic novel come to life. And I'm not a comic book fan like that. I'm not a graphic novelist, but I can tell you I understood how he was directing the film, and most people would. Most people don't get caught up in the movement of different scenes to scenes, but for some people are not used to that. In especially when you think of a comic book movie, you don't think of flashbacks and dream sequences and moving. The thread is there, but you're moving from one character to the next, one scene to the next. And for some people, that is off putting until you get used to it. That's why some people said the movie seemed to be all over the place and then it seemed to focus in on something. It wasn't that it was all over the place, it was that it began on several threads. And then as the movie evolved, you began to understand why. You were saying to yourself, what's the significance of this? What's the significance? And then it all comes together later on in the movie. And so you can follow it much easier. So suffice it to say that. So yeah, check out Jen and Jess. They have a spoiler review. It's spoiler, so you have to go see the movie. And what else can I say to you guys? The other thing I would like to say to you guys is that once you've seen the movie, do you can come up on YouTube if you want and give your feelings about it, or you can go rate the movie, or you can go and write a review on the movie. Whatever you do, be proactive about that because your input sends the dial further and it helps the production companies know, okay, we're doing something right. This is what the audience wants. We see the huge budget that came for it and we see that the response is not lukewarm. You need to have a strong fire response to keep this kind of movie making happening. Even though Zack Snyder is making Justice League, trust me, Warner Brothers is going to be trying to put pressure on him to change up his style if you guys don't speak out about what he was doing. If you liked it. If you didn't like it, okay, fine. Make your voice heard as well. Okay? But don't be influenced by the critics in this movie. This movie, I believe, critics are not always wrong about things. In fact, most of the time they're right about movies. But I think they got this movie dead wrong. And the kind of critical reviews, the scathing critical reviews of this movie that I saw, this movie didn't deserve that at all. Okay, some people called it fascist. Some people called it feministic, chauvinistic, not feministic, but chauvinistic. I couldn't believe the kinds of things people said about this movie, and in no way, shape, or form, this movie was that. So I just want you guys to know that you need to be active in your input. Also, more importantly than all those things, get into the discussion about the themes expressed in this movie. There's so many different themes. I could say one theme in a trailer that we saw, and you have to tell me if it's true or false. absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is what Lex Luthor said. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. All right? That's a saying that is thrown around in the world today. In fact, that's a saying why we talk about a democracy instead of a monarchy, right? But think about that statement. And that statement plays out in the film. Okay? That's one of the sub-themes or subplots of the film. Ideologies, if you want, of the film. Okay? And we could go into so many more. But we will just start with that. And that's a sub-theme of the film. The film involves a lot of things, and it questions a lot of things. And the overarching theme of the film has to do with a particular thing. I guess I could say it. What does it mean to be a hero? This film addresses that. There's a number of themes in this film, and there's a big theme of this film that supersedes that. But what does it mean to be a hero? This film addressed those questions, and it also asks questions about that question. Okay? So, go check out Jen and Jess. Go check out Aaron Wilson. And, yeah, I hope you guys have a great one.